Hey guys, we're Phoenix PC. I'm Patrick.
And I'm Ryan. We build custom computers. Go on our website, phoenixpcs.com, to see all of our different models. And each model has plenty of customizations, but one really important thing that we also do is we consult with customers to make a build specifically for them. And that's what we're going to be going over today. One of our previous builds where we worked closely with a customer specifically for them. So let's talk about the request first. They identified that they were kind of looking around the $1,500 budget range. We get this pretty often where a customer will not have a specific budget in mind. They just have like a kind of general idea of what price they want it to be. And just letting us know that is pretty important because if we can try and get you a computer for the price that you're wanting, then we kind of believe that makes you a happier customer. We want our customers happy. I'm trying to get you exactly, what is good for your use case and your budget. So letting us know kind of a good price expectation is always a good way to start out a kind of a consultation. And let's talk about the use case. There's a quote directly from the email. Primarily as a trading computer, less so gaming. So what they mean by this is they were kind of into finance. They did stock trading and all that kind of stuff. So they wanted a computer that would be able to update very quickly so they could, see the information in real time, kind of act on it. And they just want to do some light gaming on the side. And that is actually pretty interesting. They had said that they had a hard time finding a company that had an unmatched GPU and CPU because we'll talk about this more in a second, but they really wanted a powerful CPU because for kind of finance and that kind of stuff, the most important aspect of it is things updating quickly.
I mean, typically you want like a well-balanced PC, right? But there is like outliers like this order,
Yeah, exactly.
special use cases.
And there's sometimes where you can get away with like a really weak CPU, but a really good GPU.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of weird use cases, and we'll be more than happy to like listen to your use case and do the research and see what you need, and so we can get you exactly what you need. The initial reach out wasn't about telling us exactly what they wanted and stuff like that. The initial reach out was asking about our Black Friday deals. We do that. We're going to be doing one this year. They were kind of trying to find a computer in the $1,500 range. That's when they also had mentioned the kind of disparity between graphics card and CPU. And they actually had identified that they were looking at the 13700K. And they asked about kind of cooling. So yeah, that's another thing that kind of we get somewhat often is people don't know exactly what part matches up
like
quite right with
like
something else.
can a 240 cool a 13700K, I guess. Yeah.
So yeah, that's a perfectly valid question. That we can talk about that in a second. And they actually did reach out with kind of some options that they had identified, and they were wondering if they were the best option. So yeah, let's actually talk about that since we can go ahead and look at. Here's the final build list that we settled on with them, but we can contrast this with how it like came about as we go through here. So they actually did identify the 13700K from the start. They were thinking about the V360. They wanted DDR5 RAM, or they had identified that they kind of were thinking about DDR5 RAM, 5200 megahertz, and then an MATX motherboard. Still went with that in the end. 3060 Ti, and then terabyte drive. Stayed with that, an 850 watt power supply.
MATX in an ATX case isn't great, but it is great if you want to save money.
Oh yeah, and with a 1500 budget range, you're probably gonna
aesthetically it's not pleasing.
yeah, but sometimes we'll recommend that to customers if budget is more of a priority than aesthetics, which for plenty of people it is. Um, yeah, talking about I think because yeah, I'm looking at one of the big things that we talked about is kind of that DDR5 versus DDR4, and seeing kind of talking about some of the benefits of like DDR5 over DDR4. But you can see that kind of in the end, we went with DDR4, and I think that's because, again, like if you're kind of going for budget, DDR4 can be a good option, and that's
Oh yeah.
why like for our Harpy model, it's DDR4 is a big focus because we really want to try and hit that price range. This is where I first identified that like a 3060 Ti, if they're not wanting like a really beefy GPU, then I'm recommending that we could potentially go with the AMD RX 6600 you have in our Harpy model, and
Yep.
uh, we're really proud of the fact that the Harpy can do some pretty good gaming.
Great for 1080p gaming, like level 1080p gaming. It's perfect.
Yeah, we cannot recommend that more if anyone's just trying to get into gaming. Um, so yeah, I followed up with another kind of recommendation for parts, but I do think it's interesting. I did bring up the option that they could do like a modified Harpy. So in the end, they kind of went with a modified Siren,
Yeah.
and we kind of our models kind of correlate with a single case. So for the Harpy, that's the feature MO3. The Siren is the Landcool 216.
Kind of have it set up in like a size increase too, right? Like RP,
Yeah,
Siren,
the
Griffin.
the Harpy is supposed to be small, budget oriented, and then the
Mhm.
Siren is the next size up, but price to performance. Griffin is starting to get into you really care about performance, and then the Wyvern is just like the O11, which is a very large case, and then
Yeah.
having some like really powerful parts in there.
Cram all the performance in there.
Yeah, so that's like something that I think is really cool. Is at one point in time we were considering of going with a smaller computer because that was just another way that I was trying to like optimize things. Of like we can get you a smaller computer, shipping will be
Mm,
cheaper,
yeah.
because shipping is one thing that we have to really think about sometimes. So yeah, they followed up asking some more good questions. They were wanting to know more about the 6600. Um, and then they were also just kind of asking some clarifying questions for the if we did go with that smaller case, kind of what would be the limitations there.
So they're worried about upgradability.
Yeah, so definitely for upgradability, uh, things would have been really tight if we
Yeah.
had went with the Harpy instead because
Limited on
um,
coolers and all that stuff.
yeah, I just kind of you know talk them through some of these details that we're like discussing now and kind of really going more in depth with that. Yeah, I think we just kind of discuss more about the quote, Black Friday deals and stuff.
At the time, it was an extra 1 terabyte drive or something for Black Friday. So
Yeah, so you can see kind of next to us down that way down there.
Ew.
The free Black Friday drive. So yeah, that was the deal that we had done for that year was free 1 terabyte drive for the majority of our customers, for the majority of custom computers out there, system integrators. You're not going to find a lot of them that have a 13700K and a 6600 for the GPU. Like we had said, those are really mismatched, and I kind of want to like. Do you want to expand on what we?
Kind of wonky.
Yeah, do we want to expand on what we mean by mismatched exactly?
Well, I mean, typically, like you want kind of a balanced CPU and GPU, for, like gaming or whatever you're doing. 13700K is pretty beefy. I guess the 6600X or RX 6600. Um, it's kind of like your entry level 1080p gaming. So it is kind of like a big difference, but
Yeah,
for light 1080p gaming, it's perfect.
yeah, and like
And the processor can just crush like anything they're trying to do, like all the day trading, all the graphs, and whatever they're doing.
Yeah, and like I had mentioned, kind of going back to the well, like kind of the interaction is they did mention light gaming. The 6600 is really good for that. And kind of to elaborate more on what you were saying, the in this industry, these companies kind of tend to have like tiers for both performance and price.
Mm.
So and that that and again going back to what we were talking about earlier, we also do that with our model
Yeah.
of the more entry level stuff is cheaper, less powerful, and then an i3 versus an i7, right? You're kind of starting at the lower of the stack with the i3, going up to an i5, more price, more performance. So, in kind of those terms, the 6600 is kind of closer to the bottom of the stack. The 13700K is closer to the top of the stack.
Yeah. RX 6600 would be like paired with like an i3 or i5 or Ryzen 5.
Yeah. So yeah, the LandCool 216, a great case that we love to use, and it's any sort of upgrades that they may want to do in the future. They should have plenty of room, and it should be pretty easy for them. They're not going to have to think about compatibility. They're not going to have to think about, am I going to need to like fiddle with stuff to be able to actually do any upgrade that they want to do. And then we'd already talked about the 13700K. We want to update data as fast as possible. We talked about the V360, just having that headroom for cooling. We had talked about the motherboard, the B660M-A. Again, we're kind of going for price. That's also why we went with DDR4, 32 gigabytes of 3600 RAM. It's going to be, giving them a good experience, both with capacity and the speed there. Talked about the 6600, 850 watt should be more than enough for the system. Usually the GPU is kind of what takes up the most of your kind of wattage. And then a 2 terabyte drive plus that free 1 terabyte drive.
4.0 NVMe, super fast.
Yeah, they're sitting good on storage as well. And so we've talked enough about kind of the process that went into making the computer. We've talked about what's in there. So let's actually see it in action. Every build we do live on Twitch and here on YouTube. We stream every build. And we take a clip of every time we turn on the computer. So this is actually this computer that we're talking about right now turning on. So let's watch it.
Is order 1264. 3, 2, 1.
Ho ho ho.
You're right up there. And big giant front fans. Wow, the amount of air coming off this thing.
Yeah. Heck yeah. The 216 and just those front fans.
Yeah, it's a killer case.
Look really good.
Plenty of cooling. Go check out our website. If you guys have any questions, we do have a contact form on the website, so you can like message or any kind of questions you have.
Be more than happy to answer. And if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. It'd help us out a ton. Also, please go check out our other social media on screen. And thank you so much for watching.